90 Days to Become Your Best Self. A 90-day journey to transform your mindset, habits, health, and life. By T.M. Light. Description: discover a practical and motivational guide designed to help you transform your mindset, habits, health, confidence, relationships, productivity, and sense of purpose in just 90 days. This personal growth book provides actionable strategies, reflective exercises, daily challenges, and powerful guidance to help you overcome limiting beliefs, build discipline, manage your time, strengthen resilience, and create meaningful goals. Whether you want to improve your self-confidence, develop healthier habits, find greater direction, or become more intentional with your life, this guide will inspire lasting personal transformation. Take control of your choices, build positive momentum, and become the stronger, wiser version of yourself. Chapter Outline. Introduction: your 90-day transformation begins here. Chapter 1: discover the person you want to become. Chapter 2: master your mindset. Chapter 3: build habits that transform your life. Chapter 4: take control of your time. Chapter 5: transform your physical health. Chapter 6: build unshakable confidence. Chapter 7: improve your relationships and environment. Chapter 8: find purpose and create meaning. Chapter 9: overcome setbacks and become resilient. Chapter 10: become the person you choose to be. Conclusion: the journey doesn't end at day 90. Introduction: your 90-day transformation begins here. There comes a moment in life when you realize that something needs to change. Perhaps you are tired of repeating the same patterns, putting off the things that matter, doubting yourself, or watching time pass while knowing deep inside that you are capable of more. Maybe your life is not necessarily bad, but you know it could be better. You know there is a stronger, wiser, healthier, more confident, and more purposeful version of you waiting to emerge. That realization is not a sign that you have failed. It is an invitation to grow. This book begins with a simple belief: you can change your life by changing what you consistently do with your days. You do not have to become a completely different person overnight. You do not need to have everything figured out before you begin. You simply need the willingness to take the next step. The next 90 days can become a powerful turning point in your life if you choose to approach them with intention, consistency, patience, and courage. 90 days may not seem like a long time when compared with an entire lifetime, but it is long enough to create meaningful change. 90 days give you enough time to establish new routines, challenge old beliefs, strengthen your discipline, improve your relationship with yourself, and begin living with greater purpose. More importantly, 90 days give you an opportunity to prove something to yourself, that you are capable of keeping promises to yourself. Becoming your best self does not mean becoming perfect. Your best self is not a person who never makes mistakes, never feels afraid, never becomes discouraged, or always knows exactly what to do. Your best self is the person who continues moving forward despite those things. It is the version of you who chooses growth over excuses, courage over fear, discipline over temporary comfort, and purpose over distraction. Becoming your best self means becoming more intentional about who you are, how you live, and the choices you make every day. There is also an important difference between self-improvement and genuine transformation. Self-improvement can sometimes focus on adding more to your life: another goal, another habit, another achievement, another skill. Transformation goes deeper. It changes the way you see yourself and the way you respond to life. Instead of simply trying to behave differently, you begin to think differently. Instead of forcing yourself to do things temporarily, you begin developing an identity that naturally supports healthier choices. Real transformation happens when your actions begin to reflect the person you are becoming. You stop saying, "I am trying to become disciplined," and begin thinking, "I am a disciplined person." You stop waiting to feel confident before taking action and begin taking action that builds confidence. You stop allowing yesterday's mistakes to define tomorrow's possibilities. Little by little, your identity begins to change because your daily choices are changing. That is why this journey will focus on small, consistent actions rather than dramatic overnight changes. Many people begin their transformation with tremendous enthusiasm. They create an enormous list of goals, attempt to change everything at once, and expect themselves to maintain that intensity indefinitely. When reality becomes difficult, they become discouraged and eventually return to their old patterns. You will approach these 90 days differently. You will learn to value consistency over intensity. A small action repeated every day can become more powerful than a huge action performed once. Reading a few pages, taking a walk, waking up with intention, drinking more water, spending less time on distractions, writing in a journal, completing an important task, or choosing a healthier response may seem insignificant in isolation. But repeated over weeks and months, these choices begin to shape your life. You must also give yourself permission to be imperfect. There will be days when you feel motivated, and days when you do not. There will be mornings when you follow your plan, and evenings when you fall short. You may miss a habit, lose focus, experience disappointment, or question whether you are making progress. Do not allow one difficult day to convince you that the entire journey has failed. Progress is not about never falling. It is about learning to get back up. Throughout this book, you will be encouraged to look forward rather than constantly criticize your past. Your past can teach you, but it does not have to control you. You are allowed to make different choices. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to outgrow old habits, environments, relationships, and beliefs. Most importantly, you are allowed to become someone you are proud of. Think of this book as a companion for the next 90 days. Do not simply read the chapters and move on. Reflect on the questions. Complete the exercises. Pay attention to your thoughts. Track your progress. Return to previous pages when you need encouragement. Let the lessons become practical actions in your everyday life. Before you begin, make a personal commitment to yourself. Decide that these 90 days will not be about becoming perfect. They will be about becoming intentional. Commit to showing up even when motivation fades. Commit to being honest with yourself. Commit to making progress, even if that progress sometimes feels small. Most importantly, remember that you are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience. Everything you have lived through has taught you something. Every mistake has given you an opportunity to learn. Every difficult season has developed something within you. Now you have the opportunity to take those lessons and use them to build a better future. Your 90-day transformation begins with a decision, the decision to stop waiting for the perfect time and start becoming the person you were created to be. Your 90-day exercise. Before turning the page, take some quiet time and write a letter to your future self. Imagine that 90 days have passed, and you are looking back at this moment. Describe the person you hope to become. Write about how you want to think, how you want to live, how you want to treat yourself and others, what habits you want to develop, and what you want to accomplish. Do not write only about what you want to have. Write about who you want to be. Be honest. Be courageous. Dream beyond your current circumstances. Tell your future self what you are committing to change and why it matters. When you finish, keep the letter somewhere safe. At the end of day 90, read it again. You may be surprised by how much can change when you decide to change one day at a time. Your next 90 days are waiting. Your journey begins now. Chapter 1: Discover the person you want to become. Days 1 to 9: Self-awareness and vision. Every meaningful transformation begins with awareness. Before you can change your life, you must first be willing to see your life clearly. You cannot change a destination you have not identified, and you cannot build a better future while refusing to understand where you are today. The first 9 days of this journey are therefore not about rushing into action. They are about slowing down, looking within, and discovering the person you truly want to become. Many people move through life on autopilot. They wake up, go to work, take care of responsibilities, interact with others, scroll through their phones, go to sleep, and repeat the same routine the next day. Months become years, and suddenly they find themselves asking, "How did I get here?" The problem is not always a lack of ambition. Sometimes the problem is a lack of awareness. When you do not intentionally choose your direction, your circumstances, habits, fears, and other people's expectations can quietly choose it for you. Your first responsibility during these 90 days is to become honest with yourself. This does not mean judging yourself harshly or focusing on everything you believe is wrong with you. It means having the courage to look at your life without pretending. Ask yourself where you are thriving and where you are struggling. Ask yourself what brings you energy and what consistently drains you. Look at the habits you have developed, the decisions you repeatedly make, the relationships you maintain, the way you spend your time, and the thoughts you have about yourself. You cannot transform what you refuse to acknowledge. Perhaps you have been procrastinating on something important. Perhaps you have allowed fear to keep you from pursuing an opportunity. Maybe you have developed habits that give you temporary comfort but prevent long-term growth. Perhaps you spend too much time comparing your life with other people's lives. Maybe you have been saying yes when you desperately want to say no. Or perhaps you have simply lost sight of what matters to you. Whatever you discover, do not run from it. Awareness is not condemnation. Awareness is power. When you can see a pattern, you can begin to change it. When you recognize a weakness, you can develop a strategy to strengthen it. When you understand what triggers an unhealthy habit, you can begin creating a different response. The purpose of this chapter is not to make you feel inadequate. It is to help you become conscious of the person you are today, so you can intentionally build the person you want to become tomorrow. As you examine yourself, remember that you also have strengths. Sometimes people become so focused on self-improvement that they forget to acknowledge what they already do well. You have survived difficult moments. You have learned lessons. You have developed abilities. You have encouraged people, solved problems, overcome obstacles, and continued moving forward even when life was difficult. Your strengths are part of your foundation. Take time to recognize them. Perhaps you are compassionate, determined, creative, patient, hardworking, resilient, loyal, curious, courageous, or capable of seeing possibilities where others see limitations. These qualities are not insignificant. They are resources you can use as you build your future. At the same time, be honest about your weaknesses. You do not need to hide them from yourself. A weakness identified is a weakness that can be addressed. Maybe you struggle with consistency, organization, confidence, discipline, communication, or managing your emotions. Instead of saying, "This is just who I am," begin saying, "This is an area where I can grow." That small change in language can create a powerful change in perspective. You are not a finished product. Your current habits are not your permanent identity. Your past decisions do not have to dictate your future decisions. You can learn. You can grow. You can develop new skills. You can become more disciplined, more confident, more patient, more focused, and more intentional. But to do that, you must understand what truly matters to you. Your values are the principles that give direction to your life. They answer the question, "What is important to me?" Your values may include family, faith, integrity, freedom, growth, kindness, service, creativity, security, health, wisdom, meaningful work, or personal responsibility. When your daily choices align with your values, you experience a greater sense of peace and authenticity. When your life consistently conflicts with your values, you may achieve things that look impressive but still feel empty. This is why becoming your best self cannot simply mean becoming more successful by someone else's definition. You must determine what success means to you. Perhaps someone else expects you to pursue a particular career, live a certain lifestyle, earn a specific amount of money, or achieve a particular status. Those expectations may be well-intentioned, but they are not automatically your purpose. You must learn to distinguish between the life you genuinely want and the life you have been taught to want. This requires courage, because choosing your own path sometimes means disappointing people. But you cannot spend your entire life trying to become the person everyone else wants you to be, while ignoring the person you know you are capable of becoming. Your best life must be your life. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself 90 days from now. Imagine that you have taken this journey seriously. You have become more intentional with your time. You have strengthened your habits. You have learned to speak to yourself with greater kindness. You have faced some fears. You have stopped making excuses for the things you can control. You have become more disciplined and more confident. What does that person look like? More importantly, how does that person think? How does that person respond when something goes wrong? How does that person spend a normal morning? What does that person prioritize? What has that person stopped doing? What has that person started doing? What kind of relationships does that person nurture? What does that person believe about their own potential? Do not limit your vision to possessions or achievements. The most important transformation may not be something anyone else can see. Perhaps you want to become someone who keeps promises to yourself. Perhaps you want to become someone who no longer allows fear to make every important decision. Perhaps you want to become someone who wakes up with purpose instead of immediately reaching for distractions. Perhaps you want to become someone who handles difficult situations with wisdom instead of reacting emotionally. This is where your vision becomes powerful. A compelling vision gives your daily actions meaning. When you know who you are becoming, discipline becomes easier because your choices are connected to something greater. You are no longer simply exercising, you are becoming healthier. You are no longer simply reading, you are becoming wiser. You are no longer simply saving money, you are becoming financially responsible. You are no longer simply saying no to distractions, you are protecting the future you are building. Your vision should also be realistic. Becoming your best self does not mean attempting to change every area of your life simultaneously. During these first 9 days, identify the areas that require the most attention. Maybe your health needs attention. Maybe your mindset does. Perhaps your relationships, finances, career, spiritual life, confidence, or time management need improvement. Choose awareness before action. Once you understand what needs to change, you can begin deciding what deserves your attention first. Remember, your goal is not to create a fantasy version of yourself. Your goal is to create a stronger, wiser, healthier, and more authentic version of the person you already are. You are not trying to become someone else. You are removing the habits, fears, distractions, and limiting beliefs that prevent the best parts of you from becoming visible. During these 9 days, give yourself permission to dream again. Life can sometimes make us practical, to the point that we stop imagining what is possible. Responsibilities increase. Disappointments accumulate. Fear becomes familiar. Eventually, we lower our expectations because it feels safer than hoping for something better. Do not allow that to happen. Your future deserves your imagination. Your vision does not have to be perfectly defined. It can evolve as you grow. What matters is that you begin moving intentionally. You can adjust the destination as you learn more about yourself, but you should not remain permanently stuck simply because you do not have every detail figured out. The person you need to become to achieve your goals will not emerge through wishing. That person will be developed through daily choices. If you want a healthier life, you must become someone who values healthy choices. If you want greater confidence, you must become someone willing to act despite fear. If you want meaningful relationships, you must become someone who communicates honestly and sets healthy boundaries. If you want greater peace, you must become someone who learns to release what you cannot control. Your goals may tell you where you want to go, but your identity determines how you travel. For the next 9 days, therefore, do not rush. Observe yourself. Listen to yourself. Write honestly. Pay attention to recurring thoughts and behaviors. Notice what gives you energy and what repeatedly takes it away. Notice where you feel most alive and where you feel disconnected from yourself. Then make a decision. Decide that the person you are becoming deserves your commitment. Your life assessment. Take some quiet time and examine your life as it currently exists. Consider your health, mindset, relationships, work, finances, personal growth, time, environment, and sense of purpose. Ask yourself what is working well and what is no longer working. Be honest, but be compassionate. You are gathering information, not putting yourself on trial. Then ask yourself what you would most like to change during these 90 days. Choose the areas where meaningful improvement would have the greatest positive effect on your life. Discover your values. Write down the things that matter most to you. Think beyond possessions and achievements. Consider the qualities and principles you want your life to represent. Ask yourself what you would still value if nobody could see your accomplishments. Ask yourself what kind of person you want to be when faced with difficult choices. Your values will become your compass when you are uncertain about which direction to take. Visualize your best self. Imagine yourself at the end of day 90. Picture yourself living with greater confidence, clarity, discipline, peace, and purpose. Imagine how you wake up, how you spend your time, how you speak to yourself, and how you respond to challenges. See this person clearly in your mind. Then ask yourself one powerful question. What would I need to start doing today to become that person? Your answer will reveal the beginning of your transformation. Your 90-day challenge: create your best self-vision statement. Now bring everything you have discovered together and create a personal best self-vision statement. Write it in the present tense, as though you are already becoming the person you desire to be. Do not write what other people expect from you. Write what you genuinely want for yourself. Describe the character you want to develop, the habits you want to establish, the way you want to treat yourself, the way you want to treat others, and the kind of life you want to build. Read your statement every morning throughout these 90 days. Let it remind you of why you started whenever motivation becomes difficult to find. Your transformation does not begin when you finally become your best self. It begins the moment you decide that becoming your best self is worth the effort. You have spent enough time surviving, postponing, doubting, and wondering what might happen if you truly committed yourself to growth. Now it is time to find out. The next 9 days are an invitation to meet yourself again, not the person the world expects you to be, not the person your past mistakes created, but the person you are capable of becoming. Look honestly at where you are. Look courageously at where you want to go. Then take the first step. Your future self is waiting for you. Chapter 2: Master your mindset. Days 10 to 18. Mental transformation. Your life is influenced by many things, but one of the most powerful influences is the way you think. Long before a decision becomes an action, it often begins as a thought. Before you attempt something, you usually form an opinion about whether you can do it. Before you pursue an opportunity, you may decide whether you are worthy of it. Before you respond to a difficult situation, your mind interprets what is happening. Your thoughts may not control everything that happens in your life, but they have enormous influence over how you experience life and what you choose to do with it. This is why the next stage of your 90-day journey is focused on your mindset. If you want lasting transformation, you cannot only change your schedule, habits, or surroundings. You must also examine the beliefs that have been shaping your choices. Think about the thoughts you repeatedly have about yourself. What do you say internally when you make a mistake? What do you tell yourself when you face something difficult? Do you immediately think, "I can learn this," or do you think, "I will never be good at this"? When an opportunity appears, do you become excited about the possibility, or do you immediately list all the reasons it might not work? Your answers matter because repeated thoughts can become beliefs, and beliefs can influence behavior. A person who constantly tells themselves they are incapable may eventually stop attempting difficult things. A person who believes they are not worthy of healthy relationships may tolerate treatment they should never accept. Someone who believes they are destined to fail may quit before giving themselves a genuine opportunity to succeed. The danger is that limiting beliefs can become so familiar that we stop questioning them. You may have been carrying some of these beliefs for years. Perhaps someone criticized you when you were younger. Maybe you experienced failure at an important moment. Perhaps someone told you that you were not talented enough, intelligent enough, attractive enough, successful enough, or capable enough. Maybe you compared yourself with others until you began believing that their strengths somehow proved your weaknesses. But familiarity does not make a belief true. One of the most important things you can learn during these 90 days is that you are allowed to question the stories you have been telling yourself. A limiting belief often sounds like an absolute statement. I am not confident. I always fail. I am too old. I am not disciplined. I could never do that. People like me do not succeed. It is too late for me. These statements may feel like facts, but many of them are interpretations built from past experiences. Instead of asking, "Is this what I have always believed?" begin asking, "Is this belief helping me become the person I want to be?" You do not have to replace every negative thought with unrealistic positivity. Genuine mindset transformation is not about pretending that difficulties do not exist. It is about learning to interpret difficulties in a way that gives you power instead of taking it away. For example, instead of saying "I am terrible at this," you can say, "I am still learning this." Instead of saying "I always mess things up," you can say, "I made a mistake and I can learn from it." Instead of saying "I cannot handle this," you can say, "This is difficult, but I can take it one step at a time." The difference may seem small, but it changes the direction of your thinking. This is the foundation of a growth mindset. A growth mindset recognizes that abilities can be developed through learning, practice, persistence, and experience. It does not mean believing that you can accomplish absolutely anything without limitations. It means refusing to treat your current abilities as the final definition of your potential. You are still becoming. There are things you cannot do today that you may be able to do months or years from now. There are skills you have not developed yet. There are levels of confidence you have not experienced yet. There are challenges you may currently believe are beyond you, simply because you have never attempted them. Do not confuse "I cannot do this yet" with "I can never do this." The word "yet" can create room for possibility. Another important part of mastering your mindset is learning to respond rather than react. Life will not always cooperate with your plans. People will disappoint you. Plans will change. Unexpected problems will appear. You will receive criticism, experience setbacks, and sometimes encounter situations that make you angry, afraid, or frustrated. You cannot always control what happens, but you can learn to create space between what happens and how you respond. Reaction is often immediate. Response is intentional. When you react, you may speak from anger and regret your words later. When you respond, you give yourself time to think. When you react to failure by quitting, you allow one moment to determine the future. When you respond by asking what you can learn, failure becomes information. This does not mean suppressing your emotions. Your emotions are real and deserve acknowledgement. It means learning that an emotion does not have to become a command. You can feel afraid and still move forward. You can feel disappointed and still try again. You can feel uncertain and still take the next step. This is how confidence is built. Many people believe confidence must come before action. They wait until they feel ready, capable, or fearless before pursuing what matters to them. But confidence often works in the opposite direction. You take action first, discover that you survived the discomfort, learn from the experience, and gradually become more confident. Confidence is built through evidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you create evidence that you can trust yourself. Every time you do something difficult, you create evidence that you are capable of handling discomfort. Every time you recover from a mistake, you create evidence that setbacks do not have the power to destroy you. Do not wait until you feel confident. Take the action that will help you become confident. Failure is another area where your mindset can completely change your life. If you view failure as proof that you are incapable, you will avoid challenges. If you view failure as information, you become willing to experiment, learn, adjust, and try again. Some of the most valuable lessons in your life may come from things that did not work. A failed attempt can reveal what needs to change. A disappointment can expose what truly matters. A wrong decision can teach you how to make a better one. A difficult season can reveal strength you did not know you possessed. Failure does not have to be the opposite of success. Sometimes it is part of the road toward success. This mindset allows you to stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What can I learn from this?" That question can transform your relationship with adversity. Your mindset is also strengthened through gratitude. Gratitude does not require you to ignore your problems or pretend everything is perfect. It simply teaches you to notice what is good, even while you are working on what needs improvement. When you consistently focus only on what is missing, your mind becomes trained to see lack. When you intentionally recognize what you have, you begin developing an awareness of abundance. There may be people who care about you, opportunities you have overlooked, abilities you have taken for granted, lessons you have learned, places you have experienced, or simple moments of peace that deserve appreciation. Gratitude changes what you notice. And what you repeatedly notice can influence the way you experience your life. During these 9 days, begin paying close attention to your internal dialogue. Listen to how you speak to yourself when nobody else is around. Would you speak to a close friend the way you speak to yourself? If not, it is time to change the conversation. You do not need to flatter yourself with empty words. You need to speak truthfully and constructively. Tell yourself, "I can learn." Tell yourself, "I can improve." Tell yourself, "I made a mistake, but this mistake does not define me." Tell yourself, I do not need to be perfect to make progress. Tell yourself, I can do difficult things. These statements become powerful when your actions begin to support them. Your limiting belief exercise. Take a quiet moment and write down the beliefs that have been limiting you. Think about the goals you have avoided and the opportunities you have rejected. Ask yourself what you have been telling yourself about why you cannot move forward. Then challenge each belief. Ask where it came from, whether it is completely true, and whether there is evidence that contradicts it. Finally, rewrite the belief into a more empowering and realistic statement. You are not trying to convince yourself of something false. You are giving yourself permission to consider a better possibility. Your thought reframing exercise. For the next 9 days, whenever you notice a negative thought, pause before accepting it as truth. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or limiting me? Then replace it with a thought that is honest, constructive, and focused on possibility. Instead of I cannot, practice asking, how can I learn? Instead of I failed, ask what did this teach me? Instead of I am behind, remind yourself, I am moving at my own pace and I can still move forward. Your gratitude practice. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you are grateful for. They do not have to be extraordinary. A peaceful moment, a meaningful conversation, a completed task, a beautiful view, your health, an opportunity, or simply another day to grow can be enough. The purpose is to train your mind to recognize the good that already exists, while you continue building the good that is still ahead. Your positive self-talk journal. Each morning, write 1 statement about the person you are becoming. Write something you genuinely want to believe, and reinforce through your actions. Read it slowly, and allow yourself to imagine what your life would look like if you consistently lived according to that belief. Remember, your mind is not your enemy. It is something you can train. You have spent years developing patterns of thought, and you will not erase them in a single day. But every time you challenge a limiting belief, every time you reframe a negative thought, every time you respond instead of react, and every time you choose courage over fear, you are creating a new mental pathway. You are teaching yourself to think differently. And when you begin thinking differently, you begin choosing differently. When you choose differently, you begin living differently. That is the power of mindset. Your 90-day challenge. For the remainder of your 90-day journey, catch and reframe at least 1 limiting thought every day. Do not allow negative thinking to operate unnoticed. When you catch yourself saying, I cannot, pause and ask, what if I can learn? When you hear yourself saying, it is too late, ask, what can I still do with the time I have? When you think, I am not enough, remind yourself that your worth is not determined by 1 failure, 1 opinion, or 1 difficult season. You may not be able to control every thought that enters your mind, but you can become more intentional about which thoughts you believe, repeat, and act upon. Your mind is a powerful place. Guard it. Train it. Strengthen it. The person you are becoming will need a stronger mindset than the person you have been. So begin today. Challenge the thought. Choose a better perspective. Take the next step. And remember this, your circumstances may influence your life, but they do not have to define your potential. You have more room to grow than you realize, more strength than you have recognized, and more possibilities ahead of you than fear would have you believe. Master your mind, and you will begin to discover just how much of your life you are capable of changing. Chapter 3: Build habits that transform your life. Days 19 to 27. Discipline and consistency. Your life is largely shaped by what you repeatedly do. A single decision can change your direction, but repeated decisions determine your destination. This is why setting goals, although important, is not enough. You can have a beautiful vision for your future, Write down ambitious goals and promise yourself that everything will change, but if your daily behaviors remain the same, your life will eventually return to the same patterns. Transformation happens when your intentions become habits, and your habits become part of who you are. You may have experienced this before. At the beginning of a new year, you decide that this will finally be the year you become healthier, more productive, more organized, financially responsible or disciplined. For a few days, your motivation is strong. You wake up early, exercise, eat better, work toward your goals, and feel excited about the future. Then something happens. You become tired. Your schedule becomes busy. You miss one day, then another, and eventually the excitement disappears. The problem was not necessarily your goal. The problem was that you were depending too heavily on motivation. Motivation is helpful, but it is unreliable. Discipline and consistency are what carry you forward when motivation disappears. A goal tells you what you want to accomplish. A system determines what you repeatedly do to move toward it. If your goal is to become healthier, your system might involve preparing nutritious meals, walking regularly, getting enough sleep, and creating a routine that makes exercise easier. If your goal is to become financially secure, your system might involve tracking your spending, saving consistently, and reviewing your finances regularly. The goal gives you a destination. The system gives you a road. This is why you should stop asking only, "What do I want to achieve?" Begin asking, "What would I need to do repeatedly to become the person who achieves it?" That question changes everything. Habits are formed through repetition. When you repeatedly perform an action in a particular situation, your brain begins to recognize that behavior as familiar. Over time, the action requires less conscious effort. This is why habits can be so powerful. Once a healthy behavior becomes automatic, you no longer need to fight yourself every time you want to do it. But the same principle works in the opposite direction. Destructive habits can also become automatic. Constantly checking your phone, procrastinating, staying up too late, overspending, eating mindlessly, avoiding difficult conversations, or spending hours consuming distracting content may begin as occasional choices. Repeated often enough, they can become patterns that operate almost without conscious thought. The good news is that habits can be changed. You do not need to change your entire life in 1 week. In fact, attempting to change everything simultaneously can make transformation unnecessarily difficult. Instead, start small. Choose behaviors that are simple enough to repeat and meaningful enough to matter. If you want to read more, begin with a few pages rather than demanding that you read an entire book every day. If you want to exercise, begin with a manageable amount of movement. If you want to organize your life, start by creating order in one area. If you want to improve your finances, begin by understanding where your money is going. Small does not mean insignificant. A small habit repeated consistently can become a powerful force. Imagine placing 1 brick every day. 1 brick does not look like a building. But if you continue placing bricks correctly, eventually you have something substantial. Your habits work in the same way. Each healthy choice may seem small in the moment, but repeated choices can eventually create a completely different life. This is why patience matters. Do not become discouraged because you cannot see immediate results. Some of the most important changes happen beneath the surface before they become visible. You may be developing discipline before anyone notices. You may be strengthening your confidence before your circumstances change. You may be becoming more organized, focused, or resilient long before the results appear. Keep going. One of the most powerful ways to build better habits is to connect them to the person you want to become. Instead of thinking, I am forcing myself to exercise, think, I am becoming someone who takes care of my body. Instead of thinking, I have to read today, think, I am becoming someone who values learning. Instead of thinking, I have to save this money, think, I am becoming someone who manages money responsibly. Your habits are votes for the person you are becoming. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your desired identity, you strengthen that identity. At the same time, you must learn how to break destructive habits. The first step is awareness. You cannot change a pattern you do not recognize. Pay attention to when the habit occurs, what usually triggers it, and what reward you receive from it. Perhaps you procrastinate because starting a difficult task makes you uncomfortable. Perhaps you reach for your phone whenever you feel bored. Perhaps you spend money when you feel stressed, because purchasing something gives you temporary satisfaction. Once you understand the pattern, you can begin changing the response. Do not simply tell yourself, I will stop. Create an alternative. If you usually scroll through your phone when you wake up, place the phone somewhere away from your bed and replace the behavior with reading, prayer, journaling, stretching, or quiet reflection. If you tend to eat mindlessly while watching television, change the environment that encourages the behavior. If you procrastinate on important work, commit to beginning with just a few minutes. Make the better choice easier. Your environment has enormous influence over your behavior. If distractions are constantly within reach, resisting them becomes harder. If healthy choices are difficult to access, you are more likely to choose convenience. Instead of relying entirely on willpower, design your environment to support the person you want to become. Put the things you want to use where you can see them. Remove unnecessary distractions. Prepare what you need ahead of time. Create spaces that encourage focus, rest, learning, or exercise. Your environment should not constantly fight against your goals. A successful routine should also make good decisions easier. Your morning routine can establish the direction of your day. You do not need an elaborate routine. What matters is that your first actions are intentional. Instead of immediately allowing notifications, social media, and other people's demands to control your attention, create a few moments that belong to you. Wake up, breathe, reflect, stretch, pray, or meditate if appropriate for you. Review your priorities and begin the day with purpose. Your evening routine is equally important. The way you end the day can influence how you begin the next one. Take time to reflect on what you accomplished, prepare for tomorrow, organize your environment, reduce unnecessary distractions, and allow your mind to settle. A peaceful evening can become the foundation for a productive morning. But even with the best routine, you will have difficult days. There will be mornings when you do not feel like getting up. There will be evenings when you are exhausted. There will be moments when your old habits feel easier than your new ones. This is where discipline becomes important. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is choosing what matters most over what feels easiest in the moment. When motivation disappears, remember why you started. Your future self is depending on the choices you make today. The person you imagined in Chapter 1 cannot be created by intention alone. That person is built through repetition. Every time you choose to continue when quitting would be easier, you strengthen your character. You do not need to feel motivated to take the next step. Take it anyway. Your habit audit. Take an honest look at your daily life. Write down the habits you currently repeat, both helpful and harmful. Think about what you do when you wake up, how you spend your working hours, how you use your free time, what you do when you feel stressed, and how you prepare for sleep. Then ask yourself which habits are moving you toward your best self, and which habits are moving you away from that person. Do not use this exercise to criticize yourself. Use it to become aware. Your habit tracker. Choose a few habits that you want to strengthen and track them each day. Your purpose is not to create a perfect record. Your purpose is to make consistency visible. When you can see your progress, you create evidence that you are capable of following through. If you miss a day, do not turn one missed day into a missed week. Start again immediately. Never allow perfectionism to destroy consistency. Your morning routine planner. Design a morning routine that supports the person you are becoming. Think about what actions help you feel focused, peaceful, energized, and prepared. Keep the routine realistic enough that you can maintain it even on difficult days. Your morning does not have to be perfect. It simply needs to begin with intention. Your evening routine planner. Create a simple evening routine that helps you close the day well. Reflect on what went well, identify anything you need to improve, prepare for tomorrow, and create space for rest. A strong tomorrow often begins the night before. Your 90-day challenge. Choose 3 keystone habits that can positively influence other areas of your life. These might involve movement, reading, planning, sleep, prayer, journaling, saving money, learning, or another behavior that supports your goals. Commit to practicing these 3 habits every day for the remainder of your 90-day journey. Do not choose habits simply because they sound impressive. Choose habits that genuinely support the person you want to become. Then show up. On the days when you feel inspired, show up. On the days when you feel tired, show up. On the days when progress feels invisible, show up. You are not simply completing habits. You are building evidence of your character. Every repetition is a message to yourself: I can trust myself to follow through. That message becomes powerful. Eventually, the behavior that once required effort becomes familiar. The choice that once felt difficult becomes normal. The routine that once seemed impossible becomes part of your identity. This is how transformation happens. Not in one dramatic moment, but through hundreds of ordinary choices made with extraordinary consistency. You do not have to rebuild your entire life today. Just build today's habit. Then build tomorrow's. Keep placing the bricks. One day you will look back and realize that the life you once dreamed about was built through the small choices you refused to stop making. Chapter 4. Take control of your time. Days 28 to 36. Productivity and priorities. Time is one of the most valuable resources you possess, because once a moment has passed, you cannot recover it. Money can be earned again. Possessions can be replaced. Opportunities can sometimes return. But yesterday cannot be lived again, and the hours you spend today will never come back. This is why learning to manage your time is not simply a productivity skill. It is a life skill. How you use your time is one of the clearest reflections of what you value. Your calendar, routines, conversations, work, entertainment, responsibilities, and distractions all compete for the same limited resource. If you do not intentionally decide where your time should go, other people, technology, habits, and circumstances will gladly make that decision for you. The purpose of these 9 days is not to make you busier. It is to help you become more intentional. Many people spend their lives being busy, without being genuinely productive. They answer messages, attend meetings, check notifications, scroll through social media, respond to requests, move from one task to another, and end the day exhausted. Yet when they ask themselves what they actually accomplished, they struggle to identify anything meaningful. Busyness can create the illusion of progress. Productivity is different. Productivity means directing your energy toward things that genuinely matter. It means understanding your priorities and making room for them. It means recognizing that doing more is not necessarily better, if the things you are doing are not contributing to the life you want. Before you can manage your time effectively, you need to understand where your time is currently going. Most people underestimate how much time disappears through small distractions. A few minutes checking a notification becomes 20 minutes scrolling. A quick video becomes an hour of watching unrelated content. An unnecessary conversation interrupts an important task. Constantly switching between activities makes work take longer than it should. These moments may appear harmless individually, but repeated every day, they can consume a significant portion of your life. This is why awareness comes before change. For one full day, pay close attention to what you actually do with your time. Do not record what you wish you had done. Record what really happened. Notice when you are most focused, when you become distracted, when your energy is highest, and when you tend to procrastinate. You may discover that your problem is not that you have too little time. You may discover that you have not been protecting the time you already have. Once you understand your patterns, begin identifying the activities that consistently waste your time. Some distractions are obvious, while others are disguised as productivity. Constantly checking email may feel responsible, but if it prevents you from completing important work, it may be consuming valuable attention. Organizing your workspace for hours may feel productive, but if you are avoiding the task that truly matters, it becomes another form of procrastination. Ask yourself a difficult but powerful question: is this activity moving me toward the life I want? If the answer is consistently no, something needs to change. One of the most important lessons you can learn is that everything cannot be a priority. If everything is important, nothing is truly important. Your best self requires you to make decisions about what deserves your attention. Think about your goals from previous chapters. What matters most right now? What activities will make the greatest difference in your health, relationships, career, finances, personal growth, or purpose? Which responsibilities are genuinely necessary, and which ones have you accepted simply because you are afraid to disappoint someone? Prioritization requires courage, because choosing one thing often means choosing not to do something else. This is where learning to say no becomes essential. Every yes has a cost. When you say yes to something, you are giving away time that could have been spent somewhere else. This does not mean you should become selfish or refuse every request. It means you should stop treating your time as though it has no value. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to decline an invitation when you need rest. You are allowed to protect time for your family. You are allowed to refuse unnecessary commitments. You are allowed to tell someone that you cannot take on another responsibility. You are allowed to protect the time you need to pursue an important goal. Saying no does not make you a bad person. Sometimes it is simply an act of wisdom. You also need to understand the difference between urgent and important. Urgent things demand immediate attention, but they are not always the things that matter most. Important things may not be screaming for your attention, but they often have the greatest long-term impact. Your health is important before a health crisis forces you to pay attention to it. Saving money is important before an emergency exposes your lack of preparation. Building relationships is important before distance and neglect create problems. Personal growth is important before years of stagnation become your normal. The things that matter most often require intentional scheduling, because they do not always demand your attention today. This is why creating a realistic daily schedule can change your life. A schedule is not meant to imprison you. It is meant to give your priorities a place to live. Instead of waking up and asking, "What should I do today?" you can begin the day knowing what deserves your attention. Do not create a schedule so complicated that you cannot maintain it. Give yourself structure without removing flexibility. Identify your most important responsibilities, allocate time for focused work, leave room for unexpected events, and make sure rest is included. Time blocking can be especially helpful. Rather than allowing your entire day to become one long list of unfinished tasks, assign specific periods to specific activities. You might dedicate one period to focused work, another to communication, another to exercise, and another to personal responsibilities. The goal is not perfection. The goal is intention. Digital distractions deserve special attention because modern technology can quietly consume enormous amounts of time. Your phone can become the first thing you reach for in the morning, and the last thing you look at before sleeping. Notifications can interrupt your concentration dozens of times throughout the day. Social media can create endless opportunities for comparison, entertainment, and distraction. Technology is not automatically the enemy. The problem is allowing technology to control your attention. Your attention is valuable. Protect it. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Create periods when your phone is out of reach. Avoid beginning every morning by consuming other people's content. Give yourself uninterrupted periods for important work. Create boundaries around social media and entertainment. When you control your attention, you begin controlling your time more effectively. But there is another mistake you must avoid: believing that every minute must be productive. You are not a machine. Rest is not wasted time. Reflection is not laziness. Sleep is not a weakness. Quiet moments are not unproductive simply because they do not produce something measurable. A life filled with constant activity can still be an unhealthy life. You need time to breathe, think, recover, connect with people you love, and simply exist without constantly trying to accomplish something. Rest allows you to return to your responsibilities with greater clarity and energy. The goal is not to squeeze more work into every available minute. The goal is to make your time more meaningful. Your 24-hour time audit. For one day, record how you spend your time from the moment you wake until you go to sleep. Include work, meals, travel, conversations, entertainment, social media, household responsibilities, exercise, and rest. At the end of the day, review the record honestly. Look for patterns. Ask yourself which activities were necessary, which were valuable, which were distractions, and which could be reduced or removed. Do not feel guilty about what you discover. Awareness is the beginning of change. Your priority matrix. Take everything currently demanding your attention and separate it mentally into 4 categories: things that are important and urgent, things that are important but not urgent, things that are urgent but not especially important, and things that are neither important nor urgent. Give special protection to the important but non-urgent activities. These are often the activities that build your future, such as exercise, learning, planning, saving, relationship building, and personal development. Do not allow emergencies to consume all the time you should be investing in your future. Your weekly planning exercise. At the beginning of each week, look ahead and identify the responsibilities, commitments, and goals that require your attention. Then decide what deserves priority. Choose realistic goals rather than filling every available space. Leave room for unexpected events and recovery. At the end of the week, review what worked and what did not. Your schedule should serve your life, not control it. Your digital distraction audit. Pay attention to how often you reach for your phone, check social media, watch unnecessary videos, or allow notifications to interrupt your concentration. Identify the digital behaviors that consume the most time. Then choose specific boundaries. Perhaps you will remove certain notifications, create phone-free periods, or establish a limit around social media. You do not need to eliminate technology. You need to become its master, rather than its servant. Your 90-day challenge. For the remainder of your 90-day journey, begin each day by identifying your 3 most important priorities. These should be the activities that would make the day meaningful, even if everything else did not get completed. Write them down. Schedule time for them. Protect that time. Then begin. Do not wait until you feel completely ready. Do not spend the entire day preparing to work. Take action on what matters. At the end of each day, ask yourself whether your time reflected your priorities. If it did, celebrate that progress. If it did not, learn from it and make adjustments tomorrow. Remember that taking control of your time does not mean controlling everything that happens. Life will always contain surprises, interruptions, responsibilities, and circumstances you cannot predict. Your power lies in deciding how you respond, and where you direct the time that remains within your control. Every morning gives you another opportunity to make that decision. You cannot add more hours to your day, but you can become more intentional about the hours you already have. Do not give your best energy to things that do not deserve it. Do not allow distractions to steal the future you are trying to build. Do not spend so much time responding to everyone else that you forget to live your own life. Your time is your life in measurable form. Use it wisely. Protect what matters. Make room for what gives your life meaning. And remember that the person you want to become is being shaped not only by what you accomplish, but by what you choose to give your precious time to every single day. Chapter 5: Transform your physical health. Days 37 to 45. Energy, fitness and well-being. Becoming your best self is not only about changing the way you think. It is also about taking care of the body that carries you through your life. Your physical health influences your energy, concentration, confidence, mood, productivity, and ability to enjoy everyday experiences. When your body is constantly exhausted, neglected, or overwhelmed, even the most powerful goals can begin to feel difficult. When you care for yourself physically, you create a stronger foundation from which the rest of your transformation can grow. This does not mean that you need to become obsessed with fitness, appearance, weight, or perfection. Your goal is not to punish your body into becoming something society says it should be. Your goal is to develop a healthier relationship with your body and learn to treat it with respect. Your body is not your enemy. It is your home. For many people, the journey toward better physical health begins with changing the way they speak about themselves. If you constantly criticize your appearance, compare yourself with others, or believe that your body is something to be ashamed of, your health journey can become a source of frustration rather than empowerment. Instead, begin appreciating your body for what it allows you to do. Your body allows you to walk, work, laugh, hug people you love, experience nature, create things, travel, learn, and participate in life. It deserves care, nourishment, movement, and rest. A healthier relationship with your body begins when you stop treating health as punishment and start treating it as stewardship. One of the simplest ways to support your physical health is through regular movement. Your body was designed to move, yet modern life often encourages long periods of sitting and inactivity. You do not need an expensive gym membership or an extreme workout program to begin moving more. Walking, stretching, dancing, cycling, swimming, household activities and other forms of physical activity can contribute to a healthier lifestyle. The most important thing is consistency. If you currently do very little physical activity, do not make the mistake of creating an unrealistic routine that you will abandon after a few days. Start with something manageable. A short walk can be a beginning. A few minutes of stretching can be a beginning. A simple exercise routine can be a beginning. Do not underestimate beginnings. Every time you move your body intentionally, you are sending yourself a message: my health matters. Over time, you can gradually increase your activity as your confidence and fitness develop. Your routine should fit your circumstances, abilities, schedule, and preferences. The best exercise routine is one you can realistically continue. This is also why you should stop comparing your health journey with someone else's. You may see someone exercising for an hour every morning while you are struggling to create a 10-minute routine. That comparison is unnecessary. Your responsibility is not to become someone else. Your responsibility is to become healthier than you were before. Progress is personal. The same principle applies to food. Your body needs nourishment, and the choices you make about what you eat can influence your energy and overall well-being. Healthy eating does not need to mean extreme restriction or complicated rules. It can begin with learning to pay attention to what your body needs and making balanced choices that support your goals. Think about food as fuel and nourishment rather than simply a reward or punishment. Give yourself opportunities to eat a variety of nourishing foods and learn to notice how different choices affect your energy and concentration. Planning meals in advance can also make healthier choices easier, especially when you are busy or tired. You do not need to become perfect. One unhealthy meal does not destroy your progress, just as one healthy meal does not transform your entire life. What matters is the overall pattern. This is an important lesson throughout your 90-day journey. Avoid the all or nothing mentality. Many people think they must follow their plan perfectly, or they have failed. If they miss one workout, they abandon exercise for the week. If they eat something they consider unhealthy, they decide the entire day is ruined. If they sleep poorly one night, they give up on their routine. This way of thinking creates unnecessary failure. A healthier approach is to understand that one imperfect decision does not cancel your progress. If you make a choice that does not support your goal, simply return to your plan with the next opportunity. The next meal can be better. The next morning can be better. The next decision can be better. You always have another opportunity to choose differently. Hydration is another simple part of caring for your body. Water plays an important role in normal bodily functions, and becoming more intentional about hydration can be a practical part of a healthy daily routine. Keep water available throughout your day and pay attention to your body's needs, especially when you are physically active or in hot conditions. Small acts of care become powerful when repeated. Sleep is equally important. In a culture that often celebrates being busy and exhausted, people sometimes treat sleep as though it is something they can sacrifice indefinitely. But rest is not laziness. Your body and mind need recovery. A consistent sleep routine can help you create greater stability in your daily life. Try to establish regular times for going to bed and waking up when practical. Create a calmer environment before bedtime. Reduce unnecessary stimulation, prepare for the next day, and give yourself permission to slow down. You do not have to earn the right to rest. Rest is part of the work. When you are rested, you are often better equipped to think clearly, regulate your emotions, make decisions, and handle challenges. Protecting your sleep is therefore not simply about physical health. It supports the entire person you are becoming. Stress management is another essential part of your well-being. Life will contain pressure. You cannot eliminate every difficult situation, but you can develop healthier ways of responding to stress. Sometimes you need to step away from the noise. Take a walk. Breathe slowly. Spend time in quiet reflection. Talk to someone you trust. Write down what is troubling you. Create boundaries around your responsibilities. Give yourself permission to recognize when you are overwhelmed. You do not have to carry everything at once. One of the most important lessons of physical well-being is sustainability. You are not trying to follow a health routine for 9 days and then return to your old habits. You are building behaviors that can continue beyond day 90. Ask yourself, can I realistically maintain this? If the answer is no, adjust the plan. A sustainable routine may appear less impressive than an extreme routine, but it is far more valuable if you can continue it. Your transformation is not measured by how intensely you live for a short period. It is measured by how consistently you care for yourself over time. Your personal wellness assessment. Take time to evaluate your current physical well-being. Consider your movement, nutrition, hydration, sleep, stress, energy levels, and general routines. Ask yourself what is working and what needs attention. Do not approach this exercise with shame. You are not trying to prove that you have failed. You are discovering where you can grow. Choose 1 or 2 areas that would make the greatest difference if improved. Your movement tracker. For the next 9 days, record the intentional movement you complete each day. It could be a walk, stretching session, exercise routine, or another form of physical activity appropriate for you. The goal is not to compete with anyone. The goal is to build consistency. Pay attention to how you feel before and after movement. Notice whether your energy, mood, or concentration changes. Let your experience become motivation. Your sleep routine checklist. Create a simple evening routine that encourages consistent rest. Think about what time you want to begin winding down, what distractions you can reduce, and what preparations can help you feel more relaxed. Make your bedroom environment supportive of rest when possible, and aim for a consistent sleep schedule that fits your circumstances. Your body cannot continually give its best when it is continually denied recovery. Your healthy meal planning exercise. Plan several balanced meals for the coming days. Choose foods that are practical, nourishing, and realistic for your lifestyle. Think ahead about busy days when convenience might otherwise lead you toward choices you do not really want. Preparation can reduce decision fatigue and make healthy choices easier. Remember that this is not a test of perfection. It is an opportunity to care for yourself intentionally. Your 90-day challenge. For the remainder of your 90-day journey, move your body intentionally every day and establish a consistent sleep routine. Your movement does not have to be extreme, and your routine does not have to be perfect. What matters is that you continue showing yourself that your physical well-being deserves attention. Some days will be easy. Some days will be difficult. On the difficult days, do something manageable rather than doing nothing. A short walk is still movement. An earlier bedtime is still progress. A nourishing meal is still a positive choice. A moment of rest is still valuable. Never underestimate the power of small acts of self-care, repeated consistently. You are building more than physical strength. You are building discipline. You are developing self-respect. You are learning to listen to your body. You are proving that you can care for yourself, even when life becomes busy. Your body is carrying you toward every dream you have. Take care of it. Do not wait for a crisis before you appreciate your health. Do not wait until you are exhausted before you decide that rest matters. Do not wait until you feel completely out of shape before you begin moving. Start where you are with what you have and take the next healthy step. You do not need to transform your body overnight. You need to build a healthier relationship with it, one day at a time. And as your physical health improves, you may discover something remarkable. When you feel stronger physically, you often become more prepared to pursue your goals mentally and emotionally. Your body and mind are not separate journeys. They are part of the same life. So walk forward. Move with purpose. Eat with awareness. Rest without guilt. Care for yourself with patience. You are not merely trying to live longer. You are learning to live better. Note: health recommendations should be adapted to your individual circumstances and, where appropriate, discussed with a qualified healthcare professional. Chapter 6: Build Unshakable Confidence. Days 46 to 54, Self-Worth and Courage. Confidence is one of the qualities people often admire in others, while secretly wishing they possessed more of themselves. We look at someone who speaks boldly, takes opportunities, handles criticism, or walks into unfamiliar situations with assurance, and we assume that confidence is something they were simply born with. We imagine that confident people do not experience fear, doubt, embarrassment, or insecurity. But genuine confidence is rarely the absence of these feelings. Confidence is the decision to move forward, even when they are present. You do not have to wait until you feel confident before you begin living courageously. Confidence is built through action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, face something difficult, learn from a mistake, or take a step beyond what feels comfortable, you create evidence that you are capable. Over time, that evidence changes the way you see yourself. You begin to trust yourself because you have demonstrated that you can rely on yourself. This is why confidence is not simply something you think about. It is something you practice. Perhaps there are things you have wanted to do, but have avoided, because you were afraid of failing. Maybe you have wanted to start a business, apply for an opportunity, speak publicly, improve a relationship, learn a new skill, pursue a dream, or make an important change. You may have told yourself that you need more confidence first. But what if confidence comes after the first step, rather than before it? You may never feel completely ready. There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be someone more experienced, more successful, more knowledgeable, or more prepared. If you wait until you feel superior to every challenge, you may spend your entire life waiting. Courage begins where certainty ends. One of the most important foundations of confidence is understanding your self-worth. Your value as a person cannot be measured entirely by your achievements. You are more than your job, income, appearance, education, possessions, relationship status, social position, or accomplishments. Achievements can change. Circumstances can change. Opinions can change. Your worth should not rise and fall every time circumstances change. When your self-worth depends completely on achievement, success can become exhausting. Every accomplishment provides temporary satisfaction, but then you feel pressure to accomplish something else to prove yourself again. Failure becomes terrifying because it feels like a judgment of who you are rather than an event that happened. A healthier approach is to recognize that achievement can be something you pursue, without allowing it to determine your value. You can want to become successful, without believing that you are worthless if you struggle. You can desire improvement, without hating who you are today. You can acknowledge your weaknesses, while still respecting yourself. This distinction is powerful because self-respect creates a stronger foundation for growth than self-rejection. Another way to strengthen confidence is to begin keeping promises to yourself. Think about how you feel when someone repeatedly promises to do something and never follows through. Eventually, you stop trusting their words. The same thing can happen internally. If you repeatedly promise yourself that you will exercise, study, save money, Wake up earlier, stop procrastinating, or complete an important task, and then continually abandon those promises, your trust in yourself can weaken. The solution is not to make bigger promises. Make smaller promises and keep them. Tell yourself that you will take a 10-minute walk and take it. Tell yourself that you will read 5 pages and read them. Tell yourself that you will spend 20 minutes working on something important, and do it. Every completed promise becomes evidence. You begin telling yourself, when I say I will do something, I follow through. That belief is incredibly powerful. You should also learn to become comfortable with discomfort. Growth rarely feels comfortable because it requires you to do things that are unfamiliar. If you always choose the easiest option, your comfort zone may become a cage. Discomfort does not automatically mean you are making the wrong decision. Sometimes discomfort means you are growing. Speaking when you are nervous is uncomfortable. Starting something new is uncomfortable. Setting a boundary is uncomfortable. Exercising when you are not used to it is uncomfortable. Admitting that you were wrong can be uncomfortable. Asking for an opportunity can be uncomfortable. But discomfort can be temporary, while the consequences of avoiding growth can last for years. Do not make every decision based on what feels comfortable right now. Ask what will help you become stronger in the long term. Fear of failure is another major obstacle to confidence. Many people do not fear failure itself as much as they fear what failure might mean about them. They worry that other people will laugh at them, judge them, reject them, or decide they are incapable. But failure does not have to become an identity. You can fail at something without being a failure. You can make a poor decision without being a foolish person. You can experience rejection without being unworthy. You can fall short without losing your potential. Failure becomes destructive when you use it as a reason to stop believing in yourself. Instead, use it as information. Ask what happened, what you could do differently, what you learned, and what your next step should be. Your mistakes can become teachers if you are willing to listen. You must also stop comparing your journey with everyone else's. Comparison can quietly destroy confidence because you usually compare your behind-the-scenes reality with someone else's highlight reel. You see their achievements but not their struggles. You see their confidence, but not the years of uncertainty that may have preceded it. Someone else's progress does not make your progress meaningless. There is enough room for you to grow. Instead of asking, "Why am I not where they are?" ask, "What can I learn from their journey and what can I do with my own?" Your competition is not everyone around you. Your greatest responsibility is to become a stronger version of yourself. Developing a stronger inner voice is also essential. The world will provide enough criticism without you becoming your own greatest critic. You do not need to lie to yourself or pretend that every decision you make is perfect. But you should learn to speak to yourself with honesty and respect. When you make a mistake, correct yourself without destroying yourself. When you struggle, encourage yourself instead of insulting yourself. When you face fear, remind yourself that fear does not automatically mean stop. Your inner voice should become a source of strength. You already possess strengths that can support your growth. Think about the difficulties you have survived. Think about the skills you have developed, the responsibilities you have handled, and the moments when you showed courage even though you did not feel courageous. Your history contains evidence of your strength. You may have forgotten some of it because you are focused on what you still need to accomplish. Remember, confidence grows when you recognize what you have already overcome. Your confidence inventory. Take some time to examine the areas where you currently feel confident and the areas where you struggle with self-doubt. Consider your relationships, work, communication, decision-making, appearance, skills, health, and ability to handle challenges. Do not judge yourself for what you discover. Instead, identify where you would like to grow. Then write down situations in which you have demonstrated confidence before. These moments do not have to be dramatic. Perhaps you spoke up when it was difficult, completed something challenging, helped someone, learned something new, or continued during a difficult season. These moments are evidence. Your fear-setting exercise. Think about one thing you have been avoiding because of fear. Imagine what might happen if you took action. Then consider what might happen if you continue avoiding it for another year. Ask yourself which consequence you would rather live with. Fear often becomes smaller when you examine it honestly. You may discover that the risk of trying is uncomfortable, but the regret of never trying could be greater. Your personal strengths assessment. Write down the qualities you possess that have helped you navigate life. Consider your patience, resilience, creativity, compassion, determination, communication skills, intelligence, adaptability, or ability to learn. If you struggle to identify your strengths, think about what people have thanked you for or asked you for help with. Your strengths are tools. Learn to use them intentionally. Your evidence of my growth journal. Every evening, write down one piece of evidence that you are growing. It could be something you accomplished, a difficult conversation you handled, a healthy decision you made, a fear you faced, or a negative thought you challenged. Over time, these entries will create a record of your progress. When self-doubt appears, you will have evidence to remind yourself that you are not standing still. Your 90-day challenge. For the remainder of your 90-day journey, do one thing every day that pushes you slightly outside your comfort zone. It does not need to be dramatic. Speak up when you normally remain silent. Start the task you have been postponing. Introduce yourself to someone new. Ask for an opportunity. Take a class. Exercise when you feel tempted to remain inactive. Set a healthy boundary. Share an idea. Try something you have always been afraid to attempt. The goal is not to eliminate fear. The goal is to stop allowing fear to make every decision for you. Each courageous action becomes another piece of evidence that you are capable of more than you once believed. Eventually, you will realize that confidence was never something you needed to find. It was something you needed to build. You built it every time you kept a promise to yourself. You built it every time you recovered from failure. You built it every time you stopped comparing yourself with others. You built it every time you chose growth over comfort. Do not wait for permission to believe in yourself. Do not wait for everyone else to approve of your dreams. Do not wait until you feel fearless. Take the step. Your confidence will catch up. You are allowed to become comfortable being yourself. You do not need to imitate someone else's personality, appearance, journey, or definition of success. There is freedom in knowing who you are, and refusing to apologize for becoming better. The world does not need another version of someone else. It needs the strongest, wisest, most authentic version of you. So stand a little taller. Speak a little more honestly. Take the opportunity. Face the fear. Keep the promise. And when doubt whispers that you cannot, answer with action. Let your life become the evidence. You are becoming more courageous. You are becoming more capable. You are becoming more confident. And every day you choose to move forward, you are proving it. Chapter 7. Improve your relationships and environment. Days 55 to 63. Connection and boundaries. No one becomes their best self entirely alone. Although personal growth requires individual responsibility, The people you allow into your life can have a powerful influence on your thoughts, choices, confidence, habits, and direction. The same is true of your environment. The places you spend time in, the information you consume, the conversations you participate in, and the atmosphere surrounding you can either support your growth or quietly pull you away from it. This is why becoming your best self requires you to examine not only who you are becoming, but also what and who you are allowing to influence you. Think about the people you interact with regularly. How do you feel after spending time with them? Do you feel encouraged, respected, understood, and motivated? Or do you consistently feel exhausted, criticized, manipulated, discouraged, or unworthy? Do the people around you celebrate your growth, or do they become uncomfortable whenever you begin changing? These questions are not meant to make you suspicious of everyone around you. They are meant to help you become intentional. Every relationship is different, and nobody is perfect. Healthy relationships will still experience disagreements, misunderstandings, and difficult seasons. The goal is not to find people who never make mistakes. The goal is to recognize relationships where there is mutual respect, honesty, care, accountability, and a genuine desire for one another's well-being. Healthy relationships give you room to be yourself, while also encouraging you to become better. Unhealthy relationships often do the opposite. They may repeatedly undermine your confidence, ignore your boundaries, take advantage of your kindness, create unnecessary drama, or make you feel that you must become someone else to be accepted. When these patterns continue without meaningful change, you may need to reconsider how much access those relationships should have to your life. This can be difficult. Sometimes the people who hurt us are people we care about deeply. Sometimes they are family members, longtime friends, colleagues, or people who have been part of our lives for many years. History can create a powerful sense of obligation. You may think, I have known this person for so long, or they have been there before, so I cannot distance myself. But history does not require you to accept ongoing harm. You can appreciate what a relationship once meant, while recognizing that the relationship may no longer be healthy for you. This is where boundaries become important. A boundary is not a punishment. It is a clear statement about what you will and will not accept. Boundaries help protect your time, energy, values, emotional well-being, and responsibilities. They allow relationships to exist with greater clarity, because people understand where your limits are. Some people struggle with boundaries because they are afraid of disappointing others. They have learned to say yes, even when they want to say no. They answer every request immediately, tolerate disrespect, allow interruptions, or continually sacrifice their needs because they fear being considered selfish. But constantly abandoning yourself to keep everyone else comfortable is not healthy. You can be kind without being endlessly available. You can be generous without allowing people to take advantage of you. You can love someone without agreeing with everything they do. You can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to your life. Learning to set boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you are used to pleasing people. But discomfort does not mean you are doing something wrong. Sometimes discomfort is simply the feeling of doing something new. Healthy communication also plays a major role in relationships. Many problems grow because people expect others to understand what they need, without clearly communicating it. Instead of expressing concerns, they remain silent until resentment builds. Instead of asking questions, they make assumptions. Instead of listening, they prepare their response. You can become a better communicator by learning to speak honestly, without being unnecessarily harsh, and by listening without immediately becoming defensive. When you disagree with someone, You do not need to turn the conversation into a battle. You can explain how you feel, ask questions, and seek understanding. You can say what you need without attacking the other person's character. Communication becomes healthier when the goal is not simply to win. The goal is understanding. Listening is one of the greatest gifts you can give another person. When you truly listen, you are communicating that their experiences matter. Put away distractions. Pay attention. Ask questions. Resist the temptation to immediately compare their experience with your own. Sometimes people do not need you to solve everything. Sometimes they simply need to know they have been heard. As you improve your relationships, also consider the kind of people you want around you. Do you want relationships that encourage growth, honesty, kindness, accountability, laughter, wisdom, and mutual support? If so, begin becoming that kind of person yourself. You often attract healthier relationships when you become healthier in the way you relate to others. If you want loyal friends, become a loyal friend. If you want people who communicate honestly, practice honest communication. If you want encouragement, learn to encourage others. If you want respect, give respect. Your relationships are not only about what you receive. They are also about what you contribute. At the same time, you must recognize that not every relationship can continue in the same form forever. Sometimes growth creates distance. As you develop new priorities, certain environments may no longer fit the person you are becoming. This does not always mean you must dramatically end relationships. Sometimes it simply means changing how much time, energy, or emotional access you give. You can create distance without hatred. You can move forward without bitterness. Letting go does not always mean anger. Sometimes it means acceptance. You can wish someone well and still choose a different path. Your physical environment also deserves attention. Look around your home, workspace, car, digital devices, and everyday surroundings. Do these environments support the person you are becoming? Clutter can create mental noise. Constant notifications can create distraction. An environment filled with unhealthy temptations can make discipline harder. On the other hand, an organized and intentional environment can make healthy choices easier. You do not need a perfect home or an expensive workspace. You need an environment that supports your priorities. If you want to read more, keep books accessible. If you want to exercise, make your equipment or clothing easy to access. If you want to reduce distractions, remove unnecessary notifications. If you want a calmer life, create spaces where you can think and rest. Your environment should make it easier to become the person you are trying to become. Your relationship audit. Take time to reflect on the important relationships in your life. Consider how each relationship affects your emotional well-being, confidence, values, and growth. Ask yourself which relationships are mutually supportive and which repeatedly leave you feeling drained or disrespected. Consider whether there are relationships that need stronger boundaries, more honest communication, greater investment, or greater distance. Do not make decisions from temporary anger. Use honesty, wisdom, and compassion. Your boundary setting exercise. Identify one situation where you regularly give more than you can reasonably give, or allow behavior that makes you uncomfortable. Ask yourself what boundary would create greater health and balance. Then decide how you will communicate that boundary respectfully. You do not need a long explanation. A clear and calm statement can be enough. Remember that you cannot control whether another person likes your boundary. You can control whether you honor it. Your support circle exercise. Identify the people who genuinely encourage your growth. Think about those who listen to you, tell you the truth with kindness, celebrate your progress, and want to see you become stronger. Consider how you can invest more intentionally in these relationships. Send a message. Make a call. Spend meaningful time together. Express appreciation. Strong relationships require attention. Do not wait until someone is gone before telling them they mattered to you. Your environment reset. Choose one area of your physical or digital environment that needs improvement. It could be your bedroom, workspace, kitchen, phone, computer, or social media feed. Remove what consistently distracts or discourages you. Organize what supports your priorities. Create an environment that reflects the person you are becoming. You are not simply cleaning a room or organizing a device. You are creating conditions that make growth easier. Your 90-day challenge. For the remainder of your 90-day journey, strengthen one meaningful relationship and establish one healthy boundary. Choose someone who matters to you and become more intentional about nurturing that relationship. Give them your attention. Listen more carefully. Express appreciation. Make time for meaningful connection. At the same time, identify one boundary that needs to be established or strengthened. Communicate it respectfully, and then practice honoring it. These two actions may seem simple, but they can represent a significant shift in the way you relate to yourself and others. Remember, becoming your best self does not mean becoming independent from everyone. It means becoming intentional about connection. You need people who can encourage you when you are discouraged, challenge you when you are making poor choices, celebrate you when you succeed, and remind you of your values when you lose perspective. And other people need that from you too. Do not underestimate the power of a healthy relationship. One conversation can change someone's day. One encouraging word can restore someone's confidence. One honest friendship can help you through an entire season. One healthy boundary can protect years of your peace. As you continue this 90-day journey, pay attention to the people and environments surrounding you. Ask whether they are helping you move forward or continually pulling you backward. You cannot control everyone. You cannot control every environment. You cannot make everyone understand your growth. But you can choose what you allow to influence you. You can choose how you communicate. You can choose where you invest your energy. You can choose the boundaries you establish. You can choose the kind of person you become in your relationships. And perhaps most importantly, you can choose to become the kind of person you hope to find in others. Be the friend you want to have. Be the listener you wish others would be. Be the encourager you need. Be honest. Be respectful. Be courageous enough to say no when necessary, and compassionate enough to say yes when someone genuinely needs you. Your best self is not simply someone who achieves personal goals. Your best self is someone who makes the lives of others better, while remaining true to who you are. Build relationships that bring out your strength. Create environments that support your growth. Protect your peace without closing your heart. And remember that the people you surround yourself with can influence the direction of your life, but you are still responsible for choosing the direction. Choose wisely. Choose intentionally. Choose growth. Your future self will be grateful that you did. Chapter 8: Find Purpose and Create Meaning. Days 64 to 72, Direction and Fulfillment. There comes a point in life when achieving more no longer feels like enough. You may accomplish something you once desperately wanted, only to discover that the excitement fades. You reach a goal, receive recognition, earn money, improve your circumstances, or gain something you believed would make you happy, yet eventually you find yourself asking another question: Is this really what my life is about? That question is not a sign of failure. It is often the beginning of something deeper. Success and fulfillment are not always the same thing. Success is often measured by what you accomplish, possess, or achieve. Fulfillment is connected to why you live, what you value, who you serve, and whether your life feels meaningful to you. A person can be successful according to society's standards and still feel deeply unfulfilled. Another person may have a simple life that does not attract much attention, but experience tremendous peace because their daily choices are aligned with what truly matters to them. Your goal is not simply to accomplish more. Your goal is to make your accomplishments meaningful. Purpose gives direction to your effort. Without a sense of purpose, you may spend years climbing a ladder only to discover that it was leaning against the wrong wall. You may become extremely busy without knowing why you are so busy. You may pursue goals because other people consider them impressive, rather than because they genuinely reflect the life you want. This is why the next stage of your transformation requires you to look deeper. Ask yourself what matters most. Your answer may not immediately be clear, and that is perfectly normal. Purpose is not always discovered in one dramatic moment. Sometimes it develops gradually as you pay attention to what gives you energy, what problems you care about, what experiences have shaped you, what strengths you naturally use, and what kind of contribution you want your life to make. Begin by examining your values. Your values are the principles that guide your choices and determine what you consider important. They may include integrity, family, faith, freedom, learning, creativity, compassion, security, courage, service, excellence, independence, or growth. When your life is aligned with your values, you are more likely to experience a sense of authenticity. When your actions consistently conflict with your values, even success can feel strangely empty. Imagine achieving everything you think you want, while sacrificing everything you truly value. Would that be success? Perhaps not. Your values can become a compass. When you face an important decision, they can help you determine which direction is consistent with the person you want to become. You should also explore your passions and interests. Passion is often misunderstood as something you discover once and pursue forever. In reality, your interests can develop throughout your life. You may discover new subjects, skills, causes, or activities that awaken your curiosity. Pay attention to what naturally captures your attention. What do you enjoy learning about? What problems do you find yourself wanting to solve? What activities make you lose track of time? What subjects could you discuss for hours? What experiences make you feel energized rather than drained? Your answers may reveal clues. But passion alone is not enough. A meaningful life often emerges when your interests intersect with your strengths and your desire to contribute. You may enjoy writing and have strong communication skills. You may love teaching and have a natural ability to explain difficult ideas. You may enjoy helping people and possess compassion and patience. You may be interested in business and have a talent for organization and problem solving. Your strengths can become instruments of purpose. Ask yourself, what can I do well that can also make a meaningful difference? The answer does not necessarily need to involve a prestigious career. Purpose can be expressed through your profession, family, community, creativity, service, relationships, faith, or everyday responsibilities. You do not need a famous platform to live a meaningful life. Sometimes purpose is found in ordinary places. It can be found in raising children with love, caring for a family member, mentoring someone younger, creating something useful, encouraging someone who is struggling, doing honest work, serving your community, or bringing kindness into places where it is needed. Do not underestimate an ordinary life lived intentionally. Your personal mission is another powerful tool. A mission statement describes the kind of life you want to live and the contribution you want to make. It does not have to be complicated. It should simply express what you want your life to stand for. A meaningful mission might involve helping others grow, creating useful solutions, building a strong family, serving people through your abilities, inspiring others through your experiences, or using your skills to make a positive difference. Your mission becomes a filter. When an opportunity appears, you can ask whether it moves you closer to the life you are committed to living. When a distraction demands your attention, you can ask whether it deserves a place in your journey. Purpose does not mean that every day will feel inspiring. There will still be boring tasks, difficult responsibilities, disappointments, and ordinary routines. The difference is that you understand why those things matter. A person who knows why can endure much more than a person who only focuses on how difficult something feels. You also need to move beyond external validation. It is natural to appreciate encouragement, recognition, and approval. But if your entire identity depends on other people's opinions, you will constantly feel pressured to perform. You may choose a career because it impresses people. You may purchase things to appear successful. You may pursue relationships to prove something. You may post achievements because you need others to confirm that your life is valuable. But applause eventually becomes quiet. When the attention disappears, you are left with yourself. Your goal is to build a life you respect, even when nobody is watching. Ask yourself what you would pursue if you knew you could not impress anyone with it. What would you spend your time doing if there were no social media audience? What would you prioritize if nobody could compare your achievements with theirs? These questions can reveal what genuinely matters. Meaning can also be found in everyday life. You do not have to wait for your dream career, perfect relationship, financial breakthrough, or major accomplishment before you allow yourself to experience meaning. Meaning exists in conversations. It exists in gratitude. It exists in helping someone. It exists in learning. It exists in creating. It exists in being present with people you love. It exists in doing ordinary responsibilities with extraordinary care. A meaningful life is often built from small moments that are easy to overlook. This is why you should stop postponing your happiness until some imaginary future arrives. Your future matters, but so does today. Build toward your goals while learning to appreciate the life you are currently living. There is also great meaning in contributing to something bigger than yourself. Human beings often experience deeper fulfillment when they understand that their lives can benefit others. Ask yourself, who can become better because I existed? That question can transform your priorities. Your contribution does not need to change the entire world. Perhaps you can change one person's life. Perhaps you can improve your family. Perhaps you can create something that helps others. Perhaps your kindness can make someone's difficult day easier. Impact is not always measured by numbers. Sometimes the greatest influence is invisible. Your purpose discovery exercise. Take time to answer honestly, what matters most to me? What experiences have shaped who I am? What problems do I care about? What activities give me energy? What strengths do I naturally possess? Who do I want to help? What kind of person do I want to become? Do not rush your answers. Purpose often becomes clearer when you give yourself permission to think deeply. Your personal mission statement. Write a short statement describing how you want to live and contribute. Think about your values, strengths, relationships, work, and the difference you want to make. Write it in a way that inspires you rather than impresses someone else. Your mission is not a performance. It is a direction. You're what matters most. Exercise. Imagine that you are looking back on your life many years from now. What would you hope you had prioritized? Who would you hope you had loved well? What would you hope you had contributed? What would you regret neglecting? Use those answers to identify what deserves greater attention today. Your meaningful goals exercise. Review the goals you currently have. Ask yourself whether they genuinely matter to you, or whether they are based primarily on comparison, pressure, or other people's expectations. For every major goal, ask, why do I want this? Then ask the question again. Continue until you reach the deeper reason. A goal becomes more powerful when you understand the meaning behind it. Your 90-day challenge. For the remainder of your 90-day journey, take one meaningful action each day that moves you closer to the life you want. It could be making progress on an important project, strengthening a relationship, learning something valuable, serving someone, improving your health, developing a skill, taking a courageous step, or simply making a decision that aligns with your values. Do not wait for the perfect opportunity. Meaningful lives are built through meaningful actions. One day, one decision, one conversation, one act of courage at a time. You may not know exactly where your entire life is going, and you do not need to. You only need enough clarity to take the next meaningful step. Purpose is not always a destination waiting somewhere in the future. Sometimes purpose is created through the way you live today. Use your strengths. Honor your values. Follow your curiosity. Serve others. Build what matters. Stop measuring your life only by what you have achieved, and begin measuring it by what your life represents. At the end of your journey, you will not want to look back and realize that you spent your entire life chasing things that never truly mattered. You will want to know that you loved deeply, grew intentionally, served generously, and used your life well. You will want to know that you became someone you respect. Your life has meaning. Your experiences matter. Your gifts matter. Your choices matter. And there is still time to use them wisely. Do not wait for purpose to find you. Begin creating a life that reflects it. The next meaningful step is waiting for you. Chapter 9: Overcome setbacks and become resilient. Days 73 to 81: Resilience and emotional strength. There is something important you must understand as you continue your 90-day journey. Transformation is not a straight line. There will be days when everything seems to be going well, and there will be days when you feel as though you have taken several steps backward. You will experience disappointments, unexpected problems, mistakes, delays, rejection, discouragement, and moments when your motivation disappears. None of these things mean that your transformation has failed. They mean that you are human. The goal of personal growth is not to create a life where nothing goes wrong. That kind of life does not exist. The goal is to become strong enough, wise enough, and emotionally prepared enough to face difficult moments without allowing them to permanently destroy your progress. Resilience is the ability to recover. It is the ability to bend without breaking, to fall without believing that you must remain on the ground, and to experience disappointment without allowing disappointment to define your future. Resilience does not mean that you never feel pain. It means that pain does not have the final word. You may have imagined that by this stage of your 90-day journey, everything would feel easier. Perhaps you expected to have stronger habits, greater confidence, better health, clearer purpose, and more discipline. Then suddenly, life happens. You miss several days of your routine. Something unexpected demands your attention. A relationship becomes difficult. A goal does not work out. You make a decision you regret. Your first instinct may be to think, "I have failed." Stop there. One difficult season does not erase everything you have learned. One mistake does not cancel your growth. One missed day does not destroy a habit. One disappointment does not determine your future. You must learn to separate an event from your identity. Something can go wrong without you becoming a failure. This is one of the most important mental shifts you can make. Failure is an event, not an identity. When something does not work, instead of immediately asking, "What is wrong with me?" ask, "What happened, and what can I learn from it?" That question creates space for growth. It moves you from shame toward responsibility, and from helplessness toward action. Sometimes failure reveals a weakness that needs attention. Sometimes it shows that your strategy was not effective. Sometimes the timing was wrong. Sometimes circumstances outside your control played a role. Whatever the reason, your responsibility is to learn what you can and decide what to do next. Disappointment can be especially painful because it often involves something you genuinely wanted. You may have worked hard and still not received the opportunity. You may have trusted someone and been hurt. You may have hoped for a particular outcome and watched it disappear. Do not pretend disappointment does not hurt. Give yourself permission to feel what you feel. Emotional strength does not mean suppressing your emotions. It means learning how to experience emotions without allowing them to control every decision you make. You can acknowledge sadness without becoming consumed by it. You can feel anger without allowing anger to dictate your behavior. You can experience fear without allowing fear to decide your future. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is, "This hurts, but I will get through it." That statement contains both honesty and hope. When difficult emotions appear, slow down. Give yourself time to understand what you are feeling. Ask yourself what triggered the emotion and what you need in order to respond wisely. Sometimes you need action. Sometimes you need rest. Sometimes you need a conversation. Sometimes you need to write, reflect, pray, or simply allow yourself to process what happened. Do not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotional storms. A difficult day can make everything look hopeless. Wait. Breathe. Reflect. Then decide. You must also learn how to recover when you break a habit. This is especially important because perfectionism can quietly destroy progress. Imagine that you have been exercising consistently for 2 weeks, and then you miss 3 days. Your mind may tell you, "You have ruined everything." No. You missed 3 days. That is all. Return on the 4th day. The danger is not the missed day. The danger is turning the missed day into an excuse to stop completely. This is the "I've already failed, so why bother" mindset, and it can destroy months of progress if you allow it to take control. One poor decision does not require another. If you overeat one evening, you do not have to abandon your health goals. If you waste an entire morning, you can still make the afternoon meaningful. If you spend money irresponsibly, you can begin making better financial decisions again. If you lose your temper, you can apologize and work on responding differently next time. You always have the opportunity to return. Returning is a form of strength. Resilience also requires learning from your mistakes. Every mistake contains information if you are willing to examine it. Instead of repeatedly criticizing yourself, become curious. What happened? What did I overlook? What could I have done differently? What warning signs did I ignore? What will I do differently next time? These questions transform mistakes into lessons. Do not waste a difficult experience by learning nothing from it. At the same time, understand that you do not have to be productive every moment of every day. Sometimes resilience requires rest. If you are exhausted, constantly overwhelmed, or emotionally drained, pushing yourself harder may not be the answer. Rest can be part of recovery. There is a difference between resting because you need restoration and quitting because you are afraid of continuing. Learn to recognize the difference. Healthy rest prepares you to return stronger. Avoidance keeps you stuck. Give yourself permission to pause without abandoning your destination. You can rest and still be committed. You can slow down and still be progressing. You can take a breath without giving up. When setbacks occur, return to your purpose. Remember why you started this journey. Think about the person you are becoming. Your goals are still waiting for you, even when your progress temporarily slows. Sometimes you will need to begin again. Do not be ashamed of beginning again. Beginning again is not evidence that you are weak. It is evidence that you refused to stay down. Think about how many times you learned something as a child by trying repeatedly. You fell while learning to walk. You made mistakes while learning to speak. You struggled while learning new skills. You did not interpret every mistake as proof that you were incapable of learning. Somewhere along the way, many adults become afraid of looking inexperienced. You do not have to be. Allow yourself to learn. Allow yourself to make adjustments. Allow yourself to begin again. Your setback reflection. Think about a recent setback that discouraged you. Describe what happened honestly, without exaggerating it or blaming yourself unnecessarily. Then ask what the experience revealed about your habits, expectations, decisions, or circumstances. Finally, identify one thing you can do differently moving forward. The purpose is not to relive the failure. It is to extract the lesson. Your lessons from failure exercise. Choose a mistake or disappointment from your past that still affects you. Write down what happened, what you learned, how you have changed since then, and how that experience could help you make better decisions in the future. You may discover that something you once considered a purely negative experience actually contributed to your wisdom. Your emotional check-in. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to identify what you are feeling. Instead of simply saying, "I feel bad," become more specific. Are you disappointed, anxious, frustrated, lonely, overwhelmed, angry, hopeful, grateful, or tired? Naming an emotion can help you understand it. Then ask yourself what response would be healthiest and most constructive. You do not have to obey every emotion. You can listen to it without surrendering control to it. Your personal resilience plan. Decide what you will do when life becomes difficult. Identify the people you can talk to, the activities that help you regain perspective, the routines that keep you grounded, and the reminders that help you remember your purpose. Create a plan before you need it. When the difficult moment comes, you will not have to figure everything out from the beginning. Your 90-day challenge. For the remainder of your journey, whenever something goes wrong, ask yourself one powerful question. What can this teach me? Do not ask this question to deny your pain. Ask it because you refuse to let pain be meaningless. If you fail, learn. If you fall, rise. If you lose your way, return. If you become discouraged, rest and begin again. If something does not work, adjust your approach. Your ability to recover will become one of your greatest strengths. You are not becoming your best self because you will never struggle again. You are becoming your best self because you are learning how to handle struggle differently. The strongest person is not always the person who never falls. Sometimes the strongest person is the one who has fallen many times and still chooses to rise. There will be seasons when your progress feels invisible. Keep going. Seeds grow underground before anyone sees them. Your character can develop in quiet seasons. Your resilience can grow through challenges. Your wisdom can deepen through experiences you never would have chosen. Do not despise difficult seasons simply because they are difficult. Ask what they are building in you. You may discover patience. You may discover courage. You may discover compassion. You may discover strength you did not know existed. The setback may not be the end of your story. It may become part of the story that makes you stronger. So when tomorrow does not go according to plan, do not panic. Pause. Learn. Adjust. Continue. You are still moving forward. You are still becoming. And you are still capable of creating the life you desire. Your journey does not require perfection. It requires resilience. Keep getting back up. Your next chapter is still waiting to be written. Chapter 10. Become the person you choose to be. Days 82 to 90. Integration and your next chapter. You have reached the final chapter of your 90-day journey, but this is not the end. In many ways, it is the beginning of something much more important. The purpose of these 90 days was never simply to help you complete a temporary challenge. It was to help you discover that you are capable of changing, growing, learning, and becoming more intentional about the person you choose to be. The final days are not about asking, "Did I become perfect?" They are about asking, "Who have I become?" Perhaps you started this journey feeling uncertain, distracted, discouraged, or frustrated with certain areas of your life. Perhaps you had goals but struggled with consistency. Maybe you wanted greater confidence, stronger habits, better health, meaningful relationships, greater purpose, or a more disciplined approach to your time. Whatever your starting point, you have now accumulated 90 days of experiences. Some days were probably easier than others. Some commitments may have been difficult to maintain. There may have been moments when you felt incredibly motivated, and others when you wanted to give up. That is normal. Transformation does not happen because every day goes perfectly. It happens because you continue returning to the person you want to become. Now it is time to look back. Reviewing your journey is important, because progress can be difficult to recognize while you are living through it. You may be so focused on what remains unfinished that you fail to notice how far you have traveled. Think about who you were on day one. What did you believe about yourself? How did you spend your time? What habits controlled your days? How did you respond to difficulty? What did you fear? What did you avoid? What did you want to change? Now compare that person with who you are today. Perhaps the differences are dramatic. Perhaps they are subtle. Either way, they matter. Maybe you now recognize negative thoughts more quickly. Perhaps you have learned to protect your time. Maybe you move your body more consistently, sleep more intentionally, communicate more honestly, or think differently about your future. Maybe you have become more comfortable saying no. Maybe you have stopped waiting for confidence and started taking action. Maybe you have learned that setbacks do not have to define you. These changes are significant because transformation often begins internally, before its results become visible externally. Your thoughts influence your decisions. Your decisions influence your habits. Your habits influence your behavior. Your behavior influences your life. When you change the way you think and act repeatedly, you begin changing your identity. This is where the final stage of your journey becomes especially important. You do not want to return to your old patterns, simply because the 90 days are over. The goal is integration. Integration means taking the lessons, habits, principles, and practices that have helped you and making them part of your everyday life. You are no longer simply someone completing a challenge. You are becoming someone who lives intentionally. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself now is, which habits have made the greatest difference in my life? Not every habit you attempted during these 90 days needs to continue forever. Some were experiments. Some may no longer fit your circumstances. Others may have become essential parts of your routine. Identify the habits that genuinely improve your life. Perhaps you have discovered that planning your day helps you remain focused. Maybe exercise improves your energy. Maybe journaling helps you process your thoughts. Maybe limiting digital distractions gives you greater concentration. Perhaps spending meaningful time with loved ones improves your sense of connection. Keep what works. Strengthen it. Make it sustainable. You should also create your personal life principles. These are the beliefs and standards you want to use to guide your future decisions. They can become your internal compass when life becomes confusing. Your principles might include being honest even when honesty is uncomfortable, protecting your health, keeping promises to yourself, treating people with respect, choosing progress over perfection, learning from failure, using your time wisely, or refusing to allow fear to control your decisions. Principles help you remain grounded. Goals tell you where you want to go. Principles help determine how you will get there. You also need to understand that your future self is not created by one enormous decision. Your future self is created through thousands of small decisions. Every morning you make choices. Every conversation is a choice. Every habit is a choice. Every response to difficulty is a choice. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you have significant influence over how you respond. The person you want to become is being created by what you repeatedly choose. If you want to become disciplined, practice discipline today. If you want to become confident, take courageous action today. If you want to become healthy, make a healthier choice today. If you want to become financially responsible, manage today's resources wisely. If you want stronger relationships, communicate and love intentionally today. Do not keep thinking of your future self as someone you will eventually become. Begin acting like that person now. Your future self is built in the present. This is also the perfect time to design your next 90 days. Do not allow the end of this challenge to create a vacuum. Decide what comes next. You do not need 20 new goals. Choose meaningful priorities. Perhaps your next 90 days will focus on developing a professional skill, improving your financial position, strengthening your health, writing a book, building a business, deepening your relationships, developing your spiritual life, or pursuing a project you have been postponing. Choose something that matters. Then break it into smaller actions. Your long-term development system should be simple enough to maintain. Set aside time regularly to review your progress. Ask yourself what is working, what is not working, what needs to change, and what deserves greater attention. Do not wait until you feel completely lost before reviewing your direction. Make reflection a regular part of your life. You should also learn to celebrate your progress without becoming complacent. There is a difference between being proud of yourself and believing that you no longer need to grow. Celebrate. You worked for this. Recognize the discipline it took to continue. Recognize the moments when you chose growth over comfort. Recognize the times you fell and returned. But celebration should not become the end of your ambition. Let it become fuel. Tell yourself, if I was capable of this, what else might be possible? Your greatest achievement may not be anything you can display publicly. It may be the fact that you trust yourself more than you did 90 days ago. Perhaps you now know that you can make a commitment and honor it. Perhaps you understand yourself more deeply. Perhaps you have learned that your circumstances do not have to determine your identity. Perhaps you have discovered that you are stronger than you thought. That knowledge is valuable. Your 90-day transformation review. Take time to review your entire journey. Think about each chapter and identify the lessons that affected you most. Consider what changed in your mindset, habits, health, relationships, time management, confidence, purpose, and resilience. Write honestly about what improved and what still needs attention. Do not judge yourself. Measure yourself against where you began. Progress is the comparison that matters. Your before and after self-assessment. Return to the questions you considered at the beginning of this book. Compare your original answers with how you would answer them now. What do you believe about yourself today? What habits have changed? What fears have become smaller? What strengths have become stronger? What do you now understand that you did not understand 90 days ago? Allow yourself to see the difference. Your future self-commitment. Imagine yourself 1 year from today. What kind of person do you want to be? What habits will that person have? What will they value? How will they handle challenges? How will they spend their time? What relationships will they protect? What goals will they pursue? Then make a commitment to begin living according to that vision today. Do not wait 12 months to become that person. Begin now. Your next 90-day roadmap. Choose the most important goal for your next 90 days. Define why it matters, what outcome you want, and what daily or weekly actions will move you toward it. Keep the roadmap realistic. Consistency will always be more valuable than an ambitious plan you cannot maintain. Your 90-day challenge. Your final challenge is to write your "This is who I am now" statement. Do not write about who you hope to become someday. Write about the identity you are choosing now. You might begin with, "This is who I am now. I am a person who keeps growing. I protect my time, honor my values, learn from my mistakes, care for my health, and take responsibility for my choices. I do not require perfection before I move forward. I choose courage over fear, progress over excuses, and purpose over distraction." Make the statement personal. Make it honest. Make it powerful. Then read it regularly. Let it remind you that your transformation is no longer merely something you completed. It is something you are continuing to live. 90 days can change the direction of your life, but your life will continue to change because of what you choose to do after those 90 days. There will be new challenges, new opportunities, new disappointments, new goals, new versions of yourself waiting to emerge. Do not become attached to the idea that you have finally arrived. There is no final version of you that requires no further growth. Life is a continuing process of becoming. There will always be another lesson to learn, another weakness to strengthen, another relationship to nurture, another dream to pursue, and another opportunity to make a difference. Your best self is not a destination. It is a direction. And every day, you get to choose whether you move toward it. So celebrate these 90 days. Be proud of the progress you have made. Forgive yourself for the days you struggled. Carry the lessons forward. Keep the habits that serve you. Release what no longer fits. Protect what matters. Continue growing. Most importantly, remember that you are not waiting for your life to begin. It is happening now. The person you become tomorrow is being shaped by the choices you make today. So choose intentionally. Choose courageously. Choose wisely. Choose growth. Choose purpose. Choose yourself. Your 90 days may be ending, but your transformation is not. This is not the final page of your story. It is the beginning of your next chapter. Conclusion: the journey doesn't end at day 90. You have reached the end of your 90-day journey, but this is not where your transformation ends. In many ways, this is where your real responsibility begins. The last 90 days have given you knowledge, challenges, reflections, exercises, habits, and opportunities to see yourself differently. But the greatest value of this journey will not be measured by what you accomplished inside these pages. It will be measured by what you continue to do after you close this book. Take a moment to remember the person you were when you started. Think about your thoughts, your habits, your fears, your routines, your relationships, your goals, and the areas of your life that you knew needed attention. Perhaps you began this journey feeling motivated and excited. Perhaps you began feeling frustrated or uncertain. Maybe you knew exactly what you wanted to change, or maybe you simply knew that you wanted something different. Whatever brought you here, you made a decision. You decided that your life was worth improving. That decision matters. Now look at the person you are becoming. You may not have achieved everything you hoped to accomplish in 90 days, and that is perfectly okay. Transformation is not measured by whether you completed every exercise perfectly or followed every habit without interruption. Transformation is measured by awareness, growth, courage, and the willingness to keep moving forward. Perhaps you think differently now. Perhaps you are more aware of your thoughts and the beliefs that influence your decisions. Perhaps you have learned to recognize limiting beliefs instead of automatically accepting them as truth. Maybe you have become more intentional with your time, more consistent with your habits, or more courageous in situations that once frightened you. Maybe you have started treating your body with greater respect. Perhaps you have improved your relationships, established healthier boundaries, discovered a deeper sense of purpose, or learned how to recover when life does not go according to plan. These changes matter. Even changes that appear small can become significant when they are repeated. That is one of the greatest lessons of this entire journey. Transformation comes from repeated choices. You do not transform your life through one extraordinary decision. You transform it through ordinary decisions made consistently. Every time you choose discipline instead of an excuse, courage instead of avoidance, health instead of neglect, purpose instead of distraction, and progress instead of perfection, you are shaping your future. Your life is being built in moments that often appear insignificant. One morning matters. One conversation matters. One decision matters. One habit matters. One courageous step matters. You may not always see the impact immediately, but repeated choices accumulate. This is why you should not become discouraged when your progress feels slow. Growth is not always visible while it is happening. A tree does not become strong because it grows dramatically in one day. It becomes strong because it continues growing, season after season. You are allowed to grow slowly. You are allowed to learn at your own pace. You are allowed to change your direction when you discover that something is no longer right for you. What matters is that you remain intentional. Do not spend the rest of your life chasing perfection. Perfection is an impossible standard that can make you afraid to begin, afraid to fail, and afraid to try again. You do not need to be perfect to build a meaningful life. You need to be willing. Willing to learn. Willing to adjust. Willing to take responsibility. Willing to begin again. Celebrate your progress. Look at how far you have come, rather than constantly focusing on how far you still have to go. There will always be another goal, another weakness to improve, another skill to develop, or another challenge to overcome. If you refuse to celebrate until everything is perfect, you may never allow yourself to appreciate your growth. Give yourself credit. You showed up. You tried. You learned. You continued. And if there were days when you did not show up, you have another opportunity today. One of the most important things you can do now is maintain the habits you have built. Do not allow the end of the 90-day challenge to become an invitation to return to your old patterns. Review the habits that made the greatest difference in your life and decide how you will continue them. Perhaps you will continue planning your days, exercising regularly, protecting your sleep, practicing gratitude, journaling, reading, setting boundaries, managing distractions, or investing in meaningful relationships. You do not need to maintain every single practice from this book. Keep what works. Strengthen what matters. Simplify what feels unnecessary. Your goal is to create a sustainable lifestyle, rather than another temporary challenge. At the same time, continue challenging yourself. Growth becomes stagnant when you stop asking yourself what is possible. Once you become comfortable with one level of discipline, courage, or achievement, look for another meaningful challenge. Learn something new. Take on a worthwhile project. Develop a skill. Improve your health. Strengthen your relationships. Serve others. Pursue a dream you have postponed. Do something that reminds you that you are still capable of becoming more. Do not confuse comfort with completion. There is nothing wrong with enjoying peace, but you should never allow fear of change to convince you that you have reached the limit of your potential. Your next 90 days are waiting. You do not need to know exactly what the next 10 years will look like. You only need to decide what deserves your attention in the next season. Choose one meaningful direction. Create a realistic plan. Break it into manageable actions. Then begin. Your next 90-day chapter should build upon what you have already learned. You are no longer starting from the same place. You now have greater awareness. You have experienced your strengths and weaknesses. You know what habits are difficult for you, and which ones help you. You understand more about your values, priorities, relationships, purpose, and resilience. Use that knowledge. Build from it. Most importantly, become intentional about the life you are creating. Do not simply allow life to happen to you. You cannot control everything, but you can make intentional decisions about your priorities, your habits, your relationships, your time, your responses, and your direction. Ask yourself regularly, is the life I am building consistent with the person I want to become? If the answer is yes, continue. If the answer is no, adjust. There is no shame in changing direction when you realize you are moving away from what matters. Your best self is not a destination. It is a direction. You will never wake up one morning and discover that you have permanently completed personal growth. Life will continue presenting new circumstances that require you to learn, adapt, and mature. That is not a problem. That is the beauty of being alive. There will always be another version of yourself waiting to emerge. Final exercise, your commitment to yourself. Now, it is time to make a personal commitment to yourself. Do not treat this as another exercise to complete quickly. Write honestly. Write from the heart. Your answers should describe the person you are choosing to become, and the life you are intentionally building. Begin by asking yourself, who am I becoming? Describe the qualities you want to embody. Think about your character, mindset, relationships, health, confidence, discipline, purpose, and the way you want to respond to life. Then ask, what will I no longer tolerate? Consider the habits, behaviors, environments, relationships, excuses, and patterns that repeatedly prevent you from becoming your best self. Decide what you are willing to leave behind. Next, ask, which habits will I continue? Identify the practices that have genuinely helped you grow. These are the behaviors you will carry into your next chapter. Ask yourself, what will I prioritize? Think about the people, goals, values, responsibilities, and areas of life that deserve your greatest attention. Then ask, what kind of life am I committed to creating? Do not focus only on possessions or achievements. Think about how you want your life to feel, what you want it to represent, who you want to serve, and what you want your life to contribute. Next, ask, what will I do when I experience setbacks? Decide now that difficulty will not automatically become defeat. When you fall, you will learn. When you become discouraged, you will pause and recover. When something fails, you will ask what it can teach you. When necessary, you will begin again. Finally, ask yourself, what is my next 90-day goal? Choose something meaningful, realistic, and important enough to deserve your effort. Write your answers down. Read them regularly. Let them become a reminder of the commitment you have made to yourself. You do not need to transform your entire life overnight. You only need to make a better choice today. Then another tomorrow. Then another the day after that. 90 days from now, those choices can add up to a version of you that thinks differently, lives differently, and believes differently about what is possible. The person you want to become is not created by wishing. That person is created by choosing. Choose to get up when you fall. Choose to continue when progress is slow. Choose to protect your time. Choose to care for your body. Choose relationships that encourage healthy growth. Choose courage when fear tells you to hide. Choose purpose when distraction calls. Choose discipline when motivation disappears. Choose yourself when you are tempted to abandon your own needs and dreams. And when you make the wrong choice, do not use it as an excuse to stop. Choose again. You have learned that transformation is not about becoming someone completely different. It is about uncovering your potential, strengthening your character, changing the patterns that hold you back, and intentionally building a life that reflects what matters most to you. You are still becoming. There will be difficult days ahead, but there will also be beautiful ones. There will be moments of uncertainty, but there will also be moments when you look back and realize that the person you once hoped to become is slowly becoming you. Keep going. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep choosing. Your best self is not waiting somewhere in the distant future. Your best self is being built by the decision you make right now. So take the next step. Then take another. And another. Let your life become the evidence of what is possible when you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start making intentional choices. 90 days may have changed your direction. Now let the rest of your life continue the transformation. Your transformation begins with the next decision you make. Thank you for reading this book. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to leave us a review. TM Light. Disclaimer. This book was created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. While every effort was made to ensure the accuracy and relevance of the content, readers should note that this cannot be considered professional advice. Readers are encouraged to apply their own judgment and consult experts where needed.